Welcome. We continue with the load test. Within this lifting setup, a load cell indication is installed. In Dutch we say rekstrookje. And there's some linearity between the mechanical elongation of this load cell indication and its electrical resistance. By that means, we can actually read out the electrical resistance, and that's a measure for the amount of weight inside the water bags. So that's actually how the measurements take place. This is a periodic proof load testing, and there's no reassurance afterwards. So this only proves the crane is safe at that moment. So we don't have 100% guarantee the next day. So for loose items, we use a simple color coding system, so we can quickly see whether an item is to be overdue shortly, and we can arrange testing and certification accordingly by just simply look at the color of this loose item, how it's painted earlier on. So the slewing bearing and other grease nipples, they need to have a shot of grease every period, once a week, once a month, every 3 months maybe. So the nipple you see over here, this is a manual operated grease gun. For the slewing bearing, we probably use an air driven grease gun with a bit more volume and power into it. And that's what we use for periodic maintenance. The ramshorn hook over here, nothing special to tell. Nevertheless, the swivel is over here, and there's in Dutch we say wartel. There's a grease nipple over here, but what is important to remember, it is compulsory to have a spring charged safety lever on the opening of the hook, so we can prevent actually hoisting appliances lifting out of the hook, as you can imagine, which is very dangerous. So there's a couple of alarms, protection devices, 0 voltage anti-restart protection. So in case we move the crane and we suddenly get a blackout, in case we restart the ship and the crane, it shouldn't start moving after the restart. So if we have a blackout, it needs to stop the crane and also keep the crane stopped after restarting the auxiliary engines. And we call this 0 voltage anti-restart protection. Overload protection, it usually reduces the speed of the crane or the outreach, and it gives an alarm or an indication to the crane driver to change some stuff. Emergency stops, not only in the cabin, but sometimes also on a portable box which you can carry in front of your belly. Usually it's used by the chief mate, and he can also stop the lifting operation by push the emergency stop button. Anti-collision limit switch, as I showed earlier, just underneath the jib. It's a bit small over here. There's a I don't have any. Underneath the jib, close to the block, there's like a lever, and if you touch it with the block, it actually stops the lifting of the block. I will tell this a bit more. I will outline this item a bit more in the ordinary lesson in Dutch and give you a closer look to it. Anti-drum limit switch. So actually, the other end of the hanger and the runner wire, they are on a drum, and actually the weight which is pulling on the steel wire, it's actually taken by the amount of rotations among the drum. So we usually have 6 to 3 rotation among these parts which you see over here, because the weight is only on 4 balls and 1 plate. So the weight is mostly taken by the rotations among the drum, and we actually need to prevent spooling off more rotations from the drum, that all the weight ends up on only the plate and the 4 bolts. It won't hold it, so it's very dangerous. So we need to make sure that we don't spool down more than 6 to 3 rotations from the drum, and that's actually what this anti-drum protection does. So lifting, some general points of attention. Prior to the lift, you check your certification, nothing overdue, visual inspection of all the items which we use, and we have a competent person to work with the crane. So I just mentioned this earlier. Visual inspections of all the loose items which we use. Prepare the lifting pad. Maybe we need to go between 2 crane pedestals and we need to rotate something. Are there no collisions or allisions? So prepare the lifting pod. Prepare the tank top, twin deck and the head strength compared to the load. If we want to put something down on top of the ship, we need to prepare the strength of the ship. Can it take the weight? Yes or no, or what we do with the dunnage. Are we using beams or only plywood or rubber? Something to keep an eye on. So prepare the dunnage. We need to outline it with the strengthenings in the double bottom. It needs to be prepared. Here it's done actually on top of an offshore vessel, not with wood, but with steel beams. And we don't call this dunnage, but we call this grillage. Steel dunnage, so to speak. So the outlining of the dunnage with the stiffenings in the double bottom, it can be done with a new technique, and it's done by a Dutch company with virtual reality. And the next clip will be about this. Thank you for watching.